In the beginning of the story, we see Arindam, who is a successful actor. He is about to travel to Delhi to receive a prestigious award. He wasn't sure that he was going to get the award, so his manager didn't book a plane ticket for him. So now he has to take a train. Next, we see Arindam in the train station. He's greeted by everyone. Here we get to see a local reporter named Shen Gupta, who happens to be on the same train. She doesn't cover movie stars, but seeing Arindam on the train, she decides to ask him for an interview. Then we see Arindam and Sen Gupta sitting face to face. Sen Gupta says that she wants to know the real Arindam, the face behind the actor. But Arindam says he doesn't do that kind of interviews. This offends Sen Gupta, so she leaves with disappointment. Then we see Arindam getting back to his train compartment. He lies down and falls asleep. In his sleep, he gets a nightmare and sees his old acting coach trying to save him from a quicksand of money. He gets up and goes to the food cart to have a cup of tea. He sees Sen Gupta and decides to sit with her. He asks her if she knows anything about dreams. She says no, but gets curious. Arindam says that he dreamed about his old acting coach who advised him not to do films in the first place, as this would hinder his creativity as an artist. But when the acting coach died, Arindam decided to enter the film industry. Arindam asks Shen Gupta if she is judging him for taking the decision to enter the film industry right after the death of his acting coach. Shen Gupta says that it's the harsh reality and anyone would have done the same thing. Finding Arindam in a candid mood, Sen Gupta asks him about his first day of work as an actor. Arindam shares another story of a senior actor who bullied him on his first day. Even back then, he knew that the method used by the senior actor was outdated. Later, Arindam did see that senior actor struggling to get roles and decided not to help out. Then we see Arindam regretting about letting his friends down. One of his school friends once needed his help to run a political campaign, but he refused. Now he regrets it. Telling all those stories makes Arindam nostalgic and sad, so he goes back to his room, takes out a bottle and gets drunk. In his drunken state, he calls out for Shen Gupta and tells her that he has more regret stories to share with her. Shen Gupta sees the broken hero and comforts him by saying that she doesn't care about the stories. She just wants to see him go back to his compartment and take rest. Arindam can't stand this random act of kindness from a stranger and rushes away from her. In the morning, we see Arindam saying sorry to everyone for getting drunk. He meets Sen Gupta and shares a candid look as if they were good friends. Then we see Sen Gupta taking out the interview he has written down throughout the night and tearing it apart in front of Arindam. Arindam asks, "Will you write from memory?" Sen Gupta says, "No, this memory is only for me." Arindam smiles and realizes that even though he feels lonely at times, he has a bigger impact on people's lives than he can comprehend. I like to believe that at the end of this trip, he realizes how grateful he should be toward life and all his fans.